Hello guys, today we're going to be looking at the mountains of the central planet of Aeonar, which is basically the Earth of Aeonar. Here it is, the central planet of Aeonar. Now let's get into the mountains right away, shall we? First, let's start way over here, way in the north, in the smallest mountain range in the world, the snowy mountains of Tur. They don't really harbor any special creatures. In fact, they're so cold and crazy that nothing can really live there. And all that lives there is your regular old ice monsters, which are the only things that can even live for a day there. But it's basically like the North Pole there, but in the mountains, and worse. But nothing too special about it. Now, let's move on way over here again to the low mountains, Loak. These are low mountains, of course, that are slightly taller than a large hill, very low mountains. And since they're so low, it's kind of just like, it kind of just looks like a whole bunch of spiky stone hills, all jumbled together in a mountain range kind of shape. But just the regular earth monsters are there, nothing too special. Just the regular earth creatures like earth golems, whatnot. Now, let's move on to the three most interesting mountains. Over here, the Grey Mountains, Aeonar. These mountains are pretty tall. They're pretty decently tall, maybe 15,000 feet at its highest point, maybe. Pretty tall for a mountain. But this is a mountain range, so a lot of them are probably going to be a little below that. But anyways, it just has the same old earth creatures, maybe some storm creatures that live there, because there's the storm's origin right here, which I will explain all about in another video and in a few videos later on. But it's a very special place. You don't want to miss it. But that's basically it for Aeonar, but pretty interesting place. And they're called the Grey Mountains because, well, even though they're so tall, it doesn't snow there. It never has, ever since they were created. It never has snowed there. It's dry as the desert. But anyways, let's move on to kind of the most interesting mountain range, the White Mountains of Ka. These mountains harbor some of the craziest creatures. They harbor massive serpentine kind of creatures called basilisks. They harbor a few legendary creatures also, one nearly impossible to defeat, even by the strongest creatures on the planet. And there's a special place here, the Drake Eater's lair, where the last Drake Eater lived. But I'll tell you about that in another video again. But anyways, these mountains, they're the second tallest in the world. And they're in an area where it snows constantly there. So they're constantly white in snow. Occasionally they'll have blizzards there coming from the north, the tundra over here. Coming from there. That's also another reason why there's so much snow. But it's constantly snowy. Constantly. And at the lowest snow level, it's about 2 feet at the lowest. But after a blizzard, it can get to be 10 feet tall, the snow. It's crazy there. Only the creatures that were meant to be there can live there, really. But there's regular earth creatures like earth golems and whatnot there too. But some of the most ancient creatures live there. You don't want to meet them. Now, we move on to the biggest mountain of all. Biggest mountain range of all. The Ancient Mountains. Thune. The Ancient Mountains go like from here all the way over here. It basically is the cap on the north part of the central island that makes up almost all of the world. The world's land. But there's really nothing not that special about it, but they are the tallest mountains in the world. And by the tallest, I'm talking like 20,000 feet. And its highest point is 35,000 feet, which that point is actually right here in the Element's Rest, where the elemental lords reside, but I'll get on that in another video. But anyways, regular earth creatures live here. There's a thin sheet of snow at the top of the mountains, but it's really not snowy compared to Ka down here. And even though it's way in the north and touching the Great Tundra the most, it really isn't that snowy. Hardly snowy at all. Mostly rock. But they are very jagged too, and loom above everything else. You can even see them. You can even see them from from way down here at the center of the planet. And they are way up here in the north. You can see them like everywhere pretty much. Almost everywhere. But that is the video. Like and subscribe. And I'm out.